Hello everyone. Today I will tell you about a film where a woman was tired of living with her husband and decided to make new acquaintances. And it's a movie called Brownian Movement. Charlotte lives an ordinary life. She has a family and a normal job at a hospital. Every day, Charlotte's head is visited by the idea of diversifying her life. One day, she decides to take action and rents an apartment next to the hospital. After swimming, Charlotte was looking forward to future meetings. Closer to the day of the meeting, she comes to her son to take him home. Every evening, Charlotte reads fairy tales to her son. And in the morning, she asks her husband to pick up her son after school because she has a lot of work today. Walking through the wards, she notices a fat man who becomes her first victim. While teaching, Charlotte realizes that she missed the last meeting. At work, Charlotte asks the nurse to check on other patients, and this man will go to her personally. She took him to her rented apartment, and they spent time together. Having completed all her affairs, Charlotte returns to her family, and they leave for the sea. There, Charlotte pretends that she is a normal wife, and so that her husband Max does not suspect anything. Upon arrival home, they retire. After a while, Charlotte goes into her rented apartment, sits on a chair, and waits for the new old man. The meeting was very long, which is why Charlotte was late for a meeting with her son's class teacher. The teacher says that her boy is making progress in his studies, but his behavior can be volatile, and they should monitor his son. A new day is coming. Charlotte arrives at the construction site. Her husband works there as an architect. He lingers a little and asks his wife to wait a little longer. Charlotte was bored standing on the street and decides to walk around the house that has not yet been built. Someone's voice comes from afar. Charlotte enters the room and recognizes a familiar face. She becomes very afraid that this man will tell her husband about their meetings. The man thinks that she came specifically to him, which is why Charlotte starts screaming and hits the man. After which she loses consciousness. When Charlotte opened her eyes, she was already in the hospital. Her husband sat next to her, who learned about her hobbies. To find the reason for her desire to diversify her life, she comes to a psychologist. However, Charlotte cannot tell the psychologist about everything that has happened to her recently. Because of this, the doctor invites Charlotte to bring her husband to the next session. Tomorrow, Charlotte calls Max the perfect man anyone could ever dream of. But even so, Charlotte feels that her needs are not being met. That is why Charlotte wanted to experience something new by meeting people who have some kind of disadvantages. Max can't believe that his wife thought through her meeting so carefully and even rented an apartment with their family money, and Charlotte looks like she doesn't even regret her actions. After a while, a trial for exceeding official duties begins. The doctor's report says that Charlotte never understood what she was guilty of, and if she returns to her job, she will continue to look for new meetings. To prevent this from happening, the court is forced to dismiss Charlotte without the opportunity to become a doctor again. After the trial, Charlotte takes her husband to the apartment where she had fun, and although his wife made a big mistake, Max decides to ask for a woman, since his love for Charlotte is too strong. After a while, their family is replenished with twins. Max is sure that these children are his. After some time, the family moves to India to earn money. Max becomes an architect at a construction site, and Charlotte must look after the children and housework. Charlotte went to the market and bought a lot of fabric to make herself a dress, and in the evenings, she thanks God that her husband stayed with her. After a while, Charlotte comes to the construction site where her husband works, but he wasn't there. Then she climbs to the roof and lies down on the floor to touch the rough covering that reminds her of the shortcomings of her men from her former encounters. Max returned home earlier than usual and does not find his wife. The nanny says that Charlotte goes somewhere every day, because of which Max begins to suspect that Charlotte has returned to her past hobbies. One day, he decides to follow her and realizes that she is not cheating on him. At night, Max begins to cry and blames himself for being able to trust Charlotte. Tomorrow, Max admits that he finds it difficult to trust Charlotte, as she has begun to seem like a stranger. Charlotte promises that she won't betray him again. Well, this film ends with a scene of a couple leaving on a short trip. Subscribe to the channel if you liked the video. Do not forget to leave your comments. See you very soon. Bye.